Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that I only have sponsors that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies, and I really recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to these shout outs, then listen to our guest, then go and visit these sponsors, particularly if you're not already using them. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap for their support. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with our teams. It was tremendous. Coaches loved it, parents loved it. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's SnapRaise. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com, and their team is going to have you creating world-class social media content in seconds. And it's so easy, even I can do it. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. And whether it's a quick social media post to celebrate a big win or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things your program's doing, the Gipper team is there for you. As I said, it's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com for more information. And don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is gold. You really have to see it to believe it. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their great products in action. You heard me say before, probably the best purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and guess what? Mention the podcast. They'll give you a nice discount. We also want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant AD did, along with thousands of others, and it was a tremendous experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen. That's right, touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. And as always, please mention the podcast. We want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and leaders with their suite of solutions for things like, digital ticketing, but it's a lot more than that. They also offer fee-free fundraising. They have athletic website construction and a whole lot more. If you're an athletic director, coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. To find out more, go to hometown.com. As always, mention the podcast. That's hometown.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything: kids, coaches, teachers, parents. And here's the cool thing: the information that would come back on these surveys was almost always overwhelmingly positive, and it'll be the same for you. But the surveys also connected us with those squeaky wheel parents that we were already hearing from, allowed us to hear some concerns and usually address them before they turned into big things. But going back to that positive data, sometimes 98%, having that information in your hand and being able to show it to a frustrated parent, your principal, or your school board is an incredibly valuable resource. Go to athleticsurveys.com and let them create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Check them out today. And guess what? I'm going to ask you again. Please mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going all the way up to Massachusetts today, and we're going to be visiting with Kristen Santos. Kristen's a career physical educator, has an incredible background in a lot of things. She's going to share a lot of that. She's authored PE curriculum, very active in the yoga, PE, wellness space. And we're excited to have her on the podcast. So, Kristen Santos, welcome to Wednesday Wisdom.
Hi, Jake. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, again, you and I were connected by a mutual friend, and I was excited when she sent me that email. I think you're going to be a great fit for our listeners. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio. As we like to say, give us your life story in 2 minutes. What's the Kristen Santos origin story?
All right. So I grew up in Syracuse, New York, in the suburbs. And I played basketball all my life. And then I was lucky enough to play in college for St. Lawrence University in Northern New York. And then after I graduated, I moved to the Boston area. And I started teaching physical education. And I've been teaching for the last 27 years. I've coached. My husband's a teacher too, and now we have two high schoolers, and we're enjoying watching them go and play basketball. And it's been great. And I've recently gotten into yoga, and we can touch on that in a little bit. But
Well,
I've coached basketball and track. And then once we started having children, it was just too much. Um, so I think I have a unique perspective on yoga with athletes as a former athlete, as a mom of athletes, somebody who used to coach and who's a PE teacher and a yoga instructor.
right. We're going to dive into that later, but I'm curious, as you were a high school athlete, college athlete, and again, I'm a lot older than you, but I still remember having little snippets, maybe in a high school PE class. It might have been a day, it might have been a couple days. And in college, we would have a yoga instructor come in, like preseason football and things like that. But it was never, let's say, an integrated part of the program. And I know you're going to talk about that later on. But for you as an athlete growing up, did you have similar experiences? Was there any yoga in your athletic career?
No, none whatsoever. And I wish I had a time machine and I could go back and teach myself what I know now. I mean, don't we all? I think I would have been a better athlete. I think I would have been more calm, reduce the risk of injury, and just feel better. And the breathing is what really, really got me. So I didn't tell you this earlier, but in 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And my oncologist said to me, "Have you ever tried yoga?" And I thought that was such an odd question, but looking back on it, it was because I was such a hot mess at the time and not handling things well. So I did start practicing yoga as a way of healing, kind of a self-learner, just some videos online. And it was the breathing that really got me. So I wanted more. And then anytime I find something good for myself, I want to bring it to my own children and then to my students. So I started looking around for ways to get trained. And I became a children's instructor. I took my first training through Child Light Education. And then in 2020, I got my 200 hour because they offered it via Zoom. And then I went back to school and just had to share it with everybody. And started incorporating it to PE and then wrote the curriculum. And I've been traveling the country now, um, sharing my work and trying to encourage PE teachers to implement it into their curriculum, into their programs.
Well, let's go in and fast forward. So your first experience really with yoga came after your athletic career and after you'd been a teacher for a number of years. I've been
Mhm.
on your website, and again, great resources. It's very easy for an athletic director or a coach to understand, or a PE teacher. Let's go. Let me ask some Captain Obvious questions for you. I think anybody listening is or should be aware of the value that a good yoga program can bring to physical education or to athletic performance. But let's go and answer those questions. Why? Why should that cranky old athletic director in Florida or Nebraska, um, want to listen to what can yoga do for them and their program?
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you ask any athlete what they want, it's to get better, right? And yoga is a great way to do it. It's a great way to balance. Um, the breathing is so important. And I have a friend by the name of Ann Bees. She's also a yoga trainer for a child light education company. And she says, we're teaching kids how to read and write. Why aren't we teaching them how to breathe properly? Just as reading and writing is a life skill, so is breathing. Right. And think about that kid on the free throw line who makes them all the time in practice, right? And the game is on the line, and he or she is on the line, and their chest is going up and down. They're chest breathers. We don't want chest breathers. We want belly breathers. Right? We want them to exhale longer than their inhale because that's going to calm them down. That's going to balance them out. So if people in general, but especially athletes, know these simple tools during a game or competition, all right, they're going to be much better off. They're going to have the edge against their opponents who don't know how to breathe properly.
Yeah,
Not to mention the strengthen and lengthen part. But most people, when they think of yoga, it's going to make you more fit, but it also helps up here too, because the mind and the body and the breath are all connected.
no, you're absolutely right. And again, it's people should know this, but I think sometimes a coach or an AD or PE chair, whatever, they go, yeah, it's valuable. Yeah, there's a benefit, but what am I going to cut to start this yoga program? It's like mindset performance. Nobody's going to deny that mental performance training is going to help athletic performance down the road, but it's convincing that, in this case, usually a coach, to take some time from doing drills and
Right.
scrimmaging to focus on mindset. So let's go and talk about your program. Programs. What does it involve, and how can an AD, a coach, a PE teacher, incorporate it into their program so their athletes can begin to get the benefits?
Right. So there are many ways to incorporate yoga into your training. Um, one is you can always find a parent, a teacher, or a coach who is certified. Or you could find somebody on your staff that wants to go get their 200 hour. We people who practice yoga want to spread yoga. I offered yoga to my daughter's basketball team this year, and I would show up with my mats, and I did several sessions, and the girls loved it. And I would say to the coach, "What do you want from me? Do you want a restorative practice, or do you want me to work them?" And sometimes they'll say, "Oh, well, we don't have a game for a while, so really work them." So I'd hold them more into like a chair pose and more planks. If they were tired and beat up, then we would do more of a restorative practice, more legs up a wall, more spinal twists, more final relaxation. Give the body what it needs. So, first and foremost, you can always find somebody in your community that is willing to donate time. If you have money to pay someone, great. Sometimes the boosters will pay me. But for me, it's not about the money, it's really the ripple effect and getting it out there and getting kids to buy into it. If you Google any athlete, famous athlete, and yoga, you'd be amazed at what comes up. LeBron James is my favorite one because I remember I was teaching yoga when he um, broke the scoring record for the NBA. So I would say to my students, especially the boys, have you heard of LeBron James? Yeah, he just broke the NBA scoring record. I think it was 38,000 at the time. And I said, Google LeBron James and yoga and see what comes up. So, of course, they do. So I always use that example as LeBron James says that yoga is the reason why he can play the game that he loves so much for so long and so well.
No, absolutely. Taking a look at, let's say the physical education teacher department chair, what are some of the programs that you offer that can be incorporated into their current curriculum?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been traveling the country, promoting my books. They're on Amazon now too. Another thing that I do is I offer professional development. So I've been going to districts and working with their staff and teaching their PE teachers how to implement yoga on a PD day. And let's face it, for most of us PE teachers, professional development doesn't always apply to us. So this is something I really enjoy doing, and the feedback is great. Finally, something that we can use and we can do literally the next day. Um, it ties nicely into the Shape America standards, which most of us follow across the country. There are ways to assess yoga, and you got to make it fun for the kids. So in my curriculum, um, they'll play a game. So there are 4 lessons per grade level, K to 5, right? And it would start with a game, say red light, green light, and you freeze and go into chair pose. And then freeze and go into tree pose. So the kids are learning the games or learning the poses through the games. And then the second part of the lesson is a mat sequence that I've written as if I was in front of your students myself, and the teacher could just get up there and read it. My sister also did the illustrations for the book. So teachers can cut out and laminate and hold up the yoga pose cards. So if you aren't comfortable demonstrating as a PE teacher, the yoga poses, you don't have to. You can just hold up the beautiful artwork that my sister did.
Mhm. Yeah, again, those little video vignettes that you have on your website just do a great job of explaining
Thank
how
you.
easy it is. What are some of the what's some of the feedback that you've gotten, let's say from an athletic director or a coach that is now incorporated, either the entire program or components of it for their athletes?
So coaches always love when I come and work with them. In fact, they are the ones that reach out to me, or the students do, because I teach at the middle school. So the high schoolers, when it's, playoffs or preseason and they're really tight or really sore or really stressed, I will have kids email me, say, Mrs. Santos, will you please do yoga with the lacrosse team? Will you please do yoga with the volleyball team? And I love it because I get to see all my former students come back and they're all, grown up, they're high school athletes now. And then the coaches are just so appreciative. And the lacrosse team last year, they got me a card and signed it and got me a lacrosse t-shirt. So um, it's the ripple effect. Again, not doing it for money, but just doing it sheer to just get it out there. And I tell the kids, those of you who are going to play at the next level, start doing some of these things at home. So I'll teach them a sun salutation. You can do that at home. You don't need to sign up for a class. You can do it in your living room. You can do it during your commercial break. I teach them the value of breathing. And that's something that if you're really buying into yoga and you're really committed to your sport or activity, you're going to practice those things on your own. And again, have the advantage over your opponents and be able to do the activity that you love for so long and so well.
Looking at the programs that you have worked with over the years, again, no, you don't have to give out names, or you can if you want to, but what's a team that really sticks out for you that really, maybe they were struggling and they became a competitive team, or maybe they were a really good team, but the yoga
Mm-hmm.
allowed them to go to the next level. Any stories you can share?
So when I first started doing yoga with athletes, it was the Hopkinton track coach. He reached out to me and he said, yeah, Kristen, I want to incorporate it. And I said, okay. And he said, so let's do a few sessions on Wednesdays. So he made it voluntary, which at first I was thinking, oh boy, is anybody going to show up? I don't know how this is going to go. High school kids, a voluntary yoga session. So I get there and there's about 30 kids. So I was like, wow, this is great. And they were all my former students, so I knew them. I was excited to see them. And then the next Wednesday, we come back and there's like 70. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we didn't have enough mats. And the last session I did with them, I couldn't even count how many kids were there. And I was like screaming at the center of the court. And their bodies just lined the perimeter of the basketball court. Kids were using their sweatshirts and backpacks to like comfort their spines. Like I was so blown away by it. And it made me feel so good. And then the feedback that I get from the kids is ultimately for them and what they're going to take with them and their experiences. So now I have some of their younger siblings, and they'll say, I remember you did that with my brother when he was on the track team and he loved it, and da da da. And then some of the kids that went to states, I did a special lesson or a special session with them, just as a bonus, just to
Mhm.
help them out.
Oh,
um,
wow. No, as a track guy myself, I love that. Great, great example. Well, let's go ahead and cut to the chase here. If one of our listeners was interested, and listeners, I think you got a great resource here. What's the best way that they can find out more? What's the best way that they can connect with Kristen Santos?
Okay, so I teach two classes through Child Light Education Company. It's their website, childlighteducation.com. I teach yoga for athletes and yoga for PE teachers. They are self-paced courses that you can take, which is just so great, the evolution of Zoom and online learning. I also have a website, yogainphysed.com. And I'm starting to get the hang of Instagram. My own children are trying to teach me. That's the benefit of having teenagers and trying to learn social media at the same time. And my handle is Yoga in Phys Ed for Instagram. My books are available on Amazon. I also sell the books through my website. Can I give you a coupon code if anybody's listening today and they want to hear it?
Oh, absolutely. We'll put it in the show notes too.
Sure. So if we do AD podcast 25, you can get 25% off.
Oh, wow. What a deal. AD Podcast 25. So that's the code on Amazon, right?
Yes. And it's good until June 1st. Oh, no, not on Amazon, on my website.
Oh, on your website.
Right.
Okay.
So
And that
I can
website,
sell, right. Is
that is yogainphysed.com.
yes.
All right.
Yep.
So yeah, yogainphysed.com. That's where the code AD podcast 25 gets you 25% off. What a deal. Okay.
Right.
Well, Kristen, thanks again for sharing with our listeners on the podcast on Wednesday Wisdom. All the best moving forward in your travels. If you make it down to Florida, you got to let me know. I'll
I
definitely
would
come
love
to one of
that.
your sessions. Okay.
That would be great. I
Okay.
appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh no, absolutely. Okay, we're gonna have to check back in with you. Maybe in the spring, see how your teams and your clients
Sounds
are doing.
great. Sounds great.
For listeners, we want to say thanks to you. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment just about every week, and just about every day. We try to share stories from the world of athletics along with some best practices. So come back and join us again for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. All right, make sure you go to Kristen's website, Yoga in Phys Ed, yogainphysed.com. Check out her books. Remember that discount, AD Podcast 25. Get a 25% discount from her books and other resources. Before we go, as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Just a reminder, these are all companies that I used as an AD. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. Go to Gipper.com, SidelineInteractive.com, Vital Signs, WallOfFame.com, Home Campus, that's homecampus.com, Snap Raise, you'll find them at snapraise.com, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration, Huddle at huddle.com, Hometown, go to hometown.com, Athletic Surveys, you'll find them at athleticsurveys.com, and K12 Sports Tech, of course, that's K12sportstech.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.